Hi there, my name's Thomas Orrock and my quality of character topic is that of accountability. So let's unbox accountability. So traditionally it may have been viewed as a retroactive action or punishment for a failure to complete tasks to expectations. But it absolutely should not be confused with other character traits such as duty, discipline or responsibility. I've seen a few examples where it's a bit of a grey area between responsibility and accountability, so I wanted to clear those up. So responsibility can often be shared, whereas accountability it cannot. So someone becomes accountable or is accountable when performance is measured. When someone is responsible, their performance may not be measured, but the important thing to remember is that by making somebody accountable, the purpose of such is to motivate their performance. So, what is accountability? My own definition is that it's an intrinsic, proactive choice to take personal ownership of the why, the what, and the how that form pathways to success. So, where do we start? We start with why. Can I practice accountability? Well, like this young lady, absolutely you can. It's as simple as picking up a journal and writing a goal for yourself. Start with the why. Why is it important to you personally? When do you plan to reach that goal? What steps do you need to take? What support do you need? And who can you share that goal with? Perhaps somebody may hold you accountable to any of those, your timeline, your goals, but who are you going to share it with and why is it important to you? So if individuals can be can be accountable, can organizations be accountable too? Well, some of the most successful groups create a culture of accountability. And one such is, for example, the Mercedes Formula One team, one of the most successful groups in recent history, particularly with regard to sports. Their CEO and technical director, Toto Wolff, said, "For me, a culture is almost like the immune system of an organization. It's about true empowerment, giving authority, responsibility, and foremost, accountability to people." So, how do we create a culture of accountability? Again, we discuss the importance, why we connect a group of people and share a common purpose. Why does this matter to us? What do we do better than anyone in the world? Set clear expectations next. We have to clarify those together as a group. The who is responsible for what and what are they responsible for? What does that success look like to each of us? Then we must communicate and align those expectations together. How? If that's what success looks like, how are we going to achieve that success? Following that, collaboration. Okay, so how do we collaborate and adjust? How do we monitor progress? How do we track that we are on track? And how do we adjust to the barriers, negotiate the obstacles that come our way? Do we need coaching to overcome those obstacles, for example? And importantly, the consequences. How do we make results and consequences visible so that we're able to track progress, but also celebrate success and have ownership over the consequences? What did we learn? How do we move forward together as a group? How do we hold ourselves accountable? A great quote from Maxwell: "Has someone ever stood looking over your shoulders as you worked on a project or task? If so, chances are you didn't like it. Most people don't. And they like it even less when someone checks up on them to make sure they're being honest and responsible. Yet, that is exactly what I'm suggesting you do. You invite people to do it if you want to live by the golden rule, because nothing helps keep a person honest like accountability." One great example that I think, particularly for me with this definition of accountability, is with New York. You may be obviously aware of the terrible crime statistics, especially as you can see from the data. How homicides were running wild. There was an immense amount of crime. And the police captains who were responsible for these districts were not performing because their performance was not being measured. They were not motivated to make changes. They were managing the situation almost. And it took an innovative young transit police officer called Jack Maple to develop CompStat, and took the support of Bill Bratton and Rudy Giuliani to create a culture of accountability where, as you can see in this picture, they called in these police captains of each precinct at the end of every month, and they had to stand in front and field questions from their peers and their superiors about that performance. So they had dots of their precinct where every type of crime was taking place, and they had to explain questions measuring their performance. And only after that, when they were being held accountable, were they motivated to make change. And as you can see, after CompStat came in, the rapid drop in homicide and violent crime.
The cops were always pretty good at getting somebody if you got robbed on Central Park South, but if you got robbed out in Julia Street and Brooklyn, forget it. I mean, you know, they have what they call misdemeanor homicides or public service homicides. So with the first CompStat, precinct commander comes in, all of a sudden, the robberies in Brooklyn are the same size dots as the one in Manhattan. And Maple would say, what'd you do about those 3 robberies on Junior Street? And the cop behind a copy line would say, I called the robbery squad. Oh yeah? Who'd you talk to? So I talked to Gallagher. No kidding. What day was that? Tuesday. Call the robbery squad and see if Gallagher was working Tuesday. He goes, well, you know, I might have been talking to McNulty, you know, I don't know, I don't remember. But the next time he told the truth.
This for me is a perfect example of how responsibility and accountability are different. Those people who were responsible for their job weren't motivated to do it until they were held accountable, because their performance was measured. So how do we apply accountability into an athletic administration or an athletic context? Similar to the culture or a group or an organization, it's about involving the personnel, or in this case, the athletes, in the why. That is what empowers them to take ownership of their learning. Discuss openly and align your benchmarks and behaviors to create a self-sustaining environment. If they come up with the benchmark behaviors and make them visible for everyone to see in the classroom or in the training room, weight room, and they come up with the consequences or the rewards for good or poor performance, they're much more likely to hold themselves accountable to those goals. They have ownership. Leading by example as staff, owning our mistakes creates and augments that collaborative culture of support, and keeping, like I said, those visible results or consequences inspires honesty, as Maxwell said. Another quote from Lumpkin: coaches and athletes, like all humans, will respond to what is expected and rewarded. If sports administrators reward coaches for educating athletes for life, positively reinforce athletes for life, and positively reinforce athletes for focusing on achieving academically, then coaches and athletes will emphasize these factors. Again, it's measuring about what is our common purpose? What do we share? What are the goals? Are we transactional? Are we only interested in results on the field? Or are we not rooting our self-esteem in results? Are we transformational? And are we looking to empower our learners on and off the field, holding themselves accountable to showing up for class? So, good character traits for accountable coaches: do address your biases, break the mold, innovate, make mistakes, and own them. Delegate your responsibilities, model that desired behavior, operate consistently, promote peer review as your athletes share in their accountability, and always coach the person first. After all, sport is what they do. It's not who they are. So in conclusion, for me, to be accountable is to be true to one's values or goals. In determining those and sharing in the process with mentors, mentees, or peers, we promote collaboration and reflection. And by believing in the why, determining the how, and sharing the what, it's only a matter of when we find success through accountability. So grab your broom. And as John Wooden would say, make each day your masterpiece. Thank you very much. These are my references.